Hi everyone, we are meeting after so long with an interesting topic that why we need locks in Java when we have synchronized keywords, right? So let's try to understand this via a use case. So here I have created two threads, thread 1 and thread 2, which will be executing increment method upon start. Okay, so let's quickly see the code of increment method. So we have made increment method as synchronized, okay, and we have added few print statement. The aim of this increment method is just to increase the counter value, right? And we have added an intentional delay of 15 seconds, right? Before the count value gets increased. What happened? Sometimes you execute an operation within a method which take longer amount of time, right? And to mimic that, I have added this intentional delay of 15 seconds, right? And at the end, I am just increasing the count value, right? And then printing the count value. One important thing to note that our method is synchronized, which means that at one point of time, only one thread will be able to execute this method, okay? Now let's run our code and see the output. If you notice, we are only able to see two print statement in the console, that is thread 0 started and thread 0 is waiting, right? But we have started thread 2 as well along with thread 1. But we are not seeing the thread 1 in the console because thread 2 is still waiting, right, to acquire the lock. Until and unless thread 1 finishes its task, thread 2 won't be able to execute increment method and increase the counter value, right? You see, the first thread has completed its execution and the another thread has started executing the increment method, right? Let's say in the increment method, there is an operation which might be running for indefinite amount of time or which is going to take a longer amount of time, right? And you don't want your other thread to wait for that amount of time, right? What we can do, we can make use of locks, right? Instead of calling the increment method, what we will do, we will call increment v1 method, right? So let's see the code of increment v1 method now. Here I have created an object of reintrant lock, okay? And inside the increment v1 method, before executing the sleep statement, I have added a if condition where I am calling try lock method and passing some time, right? Which says that if any thread is not able to acquire the lock in that time frame, what will happen? It will come to the else condition. So in that scenario, the count value won't get increased. The else part get executed, which will say that this thread is not able to acquire the lock in 1 second, right? So whenever you see this type of scenario in your project where you don't want your threads to wait for longer period of time, go for locks over synchronization, okay? At the if condition, we are doing the exactly same thing what we were doing inside the increment method. So here is your output. So thread 0 started, then thread 1 also started, right? Which means that thread 0 acquired the lock, right? And thread 1 is the second thread which you started, was not able to acquire the lock in 1 second. That's why, and the count value changed from 0 to 1 by thread 0, okay? So मिलते हैं अगले वीडियो में with an interesting topic. So till then, stay healthy and stay safe. Bye bye.